Am I the a-hole for dating my ex's boss and ruining her career? So, I, 26M, started dating Jen, 24F, when we were both in college during my junior year and her freshman year. Things were good, though I noticed that she had no tolerance for stress at all, and would melt down during stressful moments. As you can imagine, this was pretty bad in college. She would cry and complain constantly about school and her workload, and even though I was empathetic towards her, I kind of knew in my heart that she was being a baby most of the time. I really developed this sentiment during finals week of my junior year, our first year dating, where she would cry damn near every single day from the stress and complain that I didn't know how hard her schedule was, which was kind of insulting to me considering that I had a much more rigorous schedule than she did. I understand that people handle stress in different ways, but she essentially turned into a child every time something remotely stressful came up. I chalked her behavior up to her having a gentle heart, and we moved on, with the hope that once she graduated she would have had some more years of maturing, and a more simple schedule once she got a career. I was wrong. We moved in together after I graduated and during her senior year. She was a nightmare. One of the worst people I have ever lived with. She wouldn't cook or clean even a fifth of the time because she was too tired and stressed from the day. She would order takeout constantly and leave her dirty food containers all over the apartment. She never cleaned even after herself. Whenever I pointed this out to her, she would blame it on the stress. She would also skip class constantly so she could manage her stress. As you can imagine, our sex life suffered and we barely had sex because she was never in the mood. She barely graduated on time, literally needing an extension on an assignment that was already extended, and the only reason she made that deadline was because I wrote her for a week demanding that we sit down and finish her project. All the while, I maintained a full-time job. As for me, I stayed during our final year mostly out of financial convenience. Shitty, I know. When I signed the final lease, I remember thinking to myself that I had to stay with her due to the fact that I couldn't afford to live in the city without her. On top of that, I couldn't afford to live anywhere within 70 miles of my job, so I was kind of stuck. I eventually got promoted at my job and was able to start putting money away so that I could buy myself out of my lease and break up with her. I break up with Jen, she takes it poorly. She changed the locks and held my stuff hostage so I would talk to her. I eventually resorted to busting the lock to get the rest of my stuff and fully moved out. The landlord of the old unit knew a guy who put me in contact with my current landlord who hooked me up with a great affordable rental house. Anyway, I met the landlord's daughter Kate, who came by the property a few times for various things, and we hit it off. I asked her out and we went on a few dates. Things went good. I asked Kate to be my girlfriend. She said yes, life is good. Kate is a manager at a company in the same field as my ex, but since we have only been dating for 4 to 5 months, I didn't feel particularly motivated to bring this up and start talking about exes. All this brings us to last week, when Kate invited me to a company happy hour where family was encouraged to be invited. Free booze didn't sound too bad, so I accept. I show up and Kate is introducing me to her team, and in her team is Jen. My intent was to play things cool, disclose to Kate that Jen and I dated, and go from there. Jen had other plans, which included yelling and wondering what I was doing here, then calling me an asshole and storming out, then coming back inside and getting wasted, and then crying at the bar and having multiple employees going up and making sure she was okay. Kate was understandably mortified. The whole thing made me upset and uncomfortable, and Kate and I decided to leave shortly after. Kate has relayed that since the happy hour Jen has managed to get herself fired at work. Kate immediately went to HR about the whole thing and they had an HR rep, Kate, and another manager speak to Jen about her behavior. According to Kate, Jen did not take things well and called Kate a whore among other things. They obviously wrote her up for that, and since she was on a PIP, I know, shocker, that was grounds to fire her. Kate didn't want the optics of signing off on her termination, so she recommended that the company move Jen to a different department. That was before Jen forced their hand to fire her by loudly saying that Kate stole her boyfriend and was a slur for Mexican people, whore. I felt that the whole thing was just drama on top of drama, but hopefully things would die down since Jen got fired. But nope. Some mutual friends have told me that I'm an asshole for 3 main reasons. Buying my way out of the lease and leaving the apartment to Jen. Apparently, I should have known that was bad with money and she was going to lose the apartment. Ghosting Jen. Apparently telling her that I wanted to break up with her and then proceeding to leave and blocking her on everything, and only unblocking her for my stuff, was shitty. Not telling Kate that I used to date Jen, or telling Jen that I'm currently dating Kate. As for this point, they might have a point. Not the Jen part, There is no reason why I would need to tell her anything. But I do feel bad for not telling Kate about Jen. If I told her, she could have told me that they work together, and I could have avoided coming to happy hours and making Jen crash out. According to our mutuals, Jen moved out of her apartment because she knew that she would just lose it anyway. She is also blaming me. I spoke to my mother about all of this and she does think that I may have hurt Jen too much during our breakup, and if I had just let her speak to me and get closure, then none of this would have happened. Am I the a-hole?